Welcome to the Wall Street Weekly Wrap-Up with your host, John Newquist. It is June the 13th, 2025. And we have war. Not the war I've been watching, which is Ukraine and Russia. It is Iraq versus Israel. And it affected the market quite a bit today. And let's take a look at it. Because it's not something I think a lot of people expected. There a lot of people knew about it, but I didn't think it was in there. What's happening here? Hold on, let me go back. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Holy smokes. Out of control. Of course, we went down only 1%, so that's really good. I mean, I was expecting maybe 3-4% because, I think when I checked at noon, we had like 4 out of our portfolio were green. I'm like, ooh, that's bad. That's like a spicy meatball, Iran gets bombed by Israel. Iran, with a double N, retaliates. Where does it end? We're going to find out this weekend. I mean, it's all over social media. Plenty of missiles, plenty of things. I mean, I would hope we can get a resolution. The thing I'm watching is, are they going to bomb the refineries? If they bomb the refineries, all bets are off. It'll be chaos. So we'll see. I mean, I know they want to get rid of the nuclear plant, but that thing's like supposedly half a mile underground in a mountain. You're not going to be able to bomb that. I don't know how you can do it. Oh, yeah, we need to, the big super, missile that hits it. I don't think so. I really don't think that would even work. Remember, it's not like it's just rock. It's probably reinforced with steel and concrete, and you have to almost, if you wanted to get in there, you have to go in there, and that could be pretty ugly trying to get in that thing. Just my thoughts. Hey, look at this. So we're down year to date. Oh no, we're up 3.4%. That's pretty good. Pretty good. And again, beating the S&P a little bit higher. Again, we've been kind of been picking the best of the sectors, and we've been a little defensive. I mean, I just watched a guy on CNBC rant about how you, oh no, that was Kramer, how you don't want to pick high dividend stocks because that's the worst thing to do in this kind of a market. Depends what market we're talking about. If it's a recession, it's not a bad idea to have some, the bonds are going to go up. It's going to be more people buying bonds than utilities, and I says, it could. I mean, I watch the bond market every day. We put the numbers up every week. It could. I mean, if the bond market jumps like 1.5% on the 2-year, 10-year, and everything else, then that's going to be good for the utilities and other high dividend stocks. But I don't think it'll get that way. I mean, I'm hoping. There's a lot of chaos right now in the world, and you got to think about, try to be the most defensive, be in the market. Somebody said the fear of missing out still is more than the war that just started. Whew. Well, $7 trillion plus on the sidelines. A lot of people rage sold, as Tom Lease calls it. Rage sold in April because, this is the market. I mean, look at this thing. Holy smokes. This is oil. This was everything. And look at oil up 7.5%. Oh, I filled up today. Didn't go up, but I know Monday it's going to be higher. How high will it be? I don't know. I mean, this is the stuff you don't want to have. You don't want to have high oil because then everybody complains about, wow, the price of gasoline's over $4, man. So, the Nasdaq's barely hanging on to a positive. The Dow Jones negative for the year. It went down a bit most of this today. The Russell's still struggling. Holy smokes! Interest rates are high. Doesn't help the small caps. And like I said, interest rates. If it's about 4%, that's not so bad. But we don't want it higher. Holy smokes! And the 10-year is going to be around 4.5, and that's going to affect a lot of people and stuff. So, crude oil, like you said, 7.5%. That's a big jump. But that's war. We don't get too many big wars. And is the war going to be over in a couple of days? We don't know. I mean, I when I left the media, it was second wave of Iran shooting the stuff over there. It's like, I've never seen so much social media posts about something in a long time, and because everybody and their brothers got videos and reactions and opinions on it. I just hope it settles. I mean, I hope it. But man, I know they want to get the stuff. Somebody said, I was watching the one guy on CBC. Oh yeah, they're days away from having a nuclear bomb. Really? Well, I understand what's happening, and very strategic targets. But the real thing is, if you want to go into that place, how are you going to get in there? It's half a mile underground. You know, that could be a death trap. They could maybe bomb that thing just to sit there and kill the soldiers trying to get in it. I mean, it's just, you know, and that's if it's only one of them. You know, this was tipped off by the resistance and stuff, you know, where people, you know, mentioned that, oh my God, you know, there was a bunker they built, and, you know, some of the resistance people of Iran 20 years ago told us about it. Otherwise, we probably never even heard about it. You know, it's not like people in Iran, you know, can talk about problems and secret locations without possible severe consequences, you know, just like other countries. Again, natural gas went in sympathy a little higher. Gold was the safe flight. Bitcoin, not the safe flight. Gold, $3,400. Wow. Silver at $36. So we saw, you know, the other ones. Platinum is just bizarre. You know, we were buying a lot at $900, you know, dollars, because, you know, it was historically a low number, you know, for platinum way back here, back in 2000. You know, it used to be platinum was always more than gold, and that thing shot up. I mean, I talk about, like, in the middle of May, you could have got it for under $1,000, and then it was up to $1,300. That's a heck of a chunk. That's a pretty good run for something that it's going up, but I really don't know why. You know, I mean, I have an idea. You know, auto uses platinum, but, you know, really, chemical industry, you know, the refineries use platinum catalyst, but I don't know. I mean, it's a jump. You see it, and then people chop on it, and next thing you know, you got momentum. But it came down quite a bit. I mean, 1,300 to 1,200. That's a painful thing, especially if you're playing options. Google's going to add. Oh no, OpenIA is going to add Google Cloud. Remember, Microsoft's got cloud, and they're going to also add, you know, to meet the capacities. That tells you how big OpenAI is going for. They're going for massive amount of compute and everything else, and they got a lot of customers. And you know, like I said, I showed all that stuff in there. Well, guess what? They're going to add Google. You know, and I mean, and it tells me probably Microsoft is all the stuff that they want to use, like the Grace Hopper and the Blackwells, probably all sold out.
This is a reminder how I think the Orion War will end.
Well, the Alexa, stop.
This is a reminder how I think the Orion War will end.
It's not Orion War. Iran. I call it Iran. I'm watching the target. So far, we've killed a lot of scientists. We've seen, we being Israel has killed a lot of scientists. I'm not we. We've had military targets, but again, no refineries. And the economy in Iran is a shambles. So I think they want a regime change. Now, that's not like the most thing. If you're Mr. Khomeini, you don't want to be out there saying they want to get rid of you, and they might be sending a missile your way. Because he's not going to volunteer. He says, okay, I think we'll hold elections and I'm going to get out. No. So, we don't know how this story is going to end. And, you know, it could end a lot of different ways. I'm hoping, you know, there's a change. Maybe the new person will be in there. Of course, it could be worse. We don't know. This is going to be an issue. But the capacity, Google's been, you know, since our Liberation Day sell-off right down here, Google's been a pretty solid uptrend. Still not close to the other area. So, you know, you want to get in. Not a bad time. I mean, we're crossing. We're coming close. Here's the 200-day moving average. Here's our other averages. It's going to cross. So, not a bad thing if it crosses to hop in on that. Meta. You know, he got into scale AI and, you know, and talking about buying people that are the best in AI. And the idea is he's going to spend all this money because he feels the first true mover in AI will have the benefits and everybody else will kind of go in there. And that's why he's putting money in Ray-Ban smart glasses and all the things. And Zuckerberg's, you know, all about winning in the AI war. And the thing is, I think it's a long war. You know, it's kind of like when we go back in the Wayback Machine, who's going to get the emails? Hotmail and, you know, MSN and Yahoo and AOL. And, you know, today we go back 20, 30 years. Probably 30 years now, and you know, people use Hotmail, or now it's Outlook, and under Microsoft, and Gmail. You know, Gmail didn't exist 30 years ago. So this is the things that we see, is that I wouldn't mind having 5 or 6 AIs. You know, would you pay for them all? I don't know, but I mean, you know, I think he's thinking he's going to go through, and you know, I mean, Meta, you can talk to the chatbot. I think, you know, it was called Astrid, you know, on my chatbot, because I make them name it. I thought Astrid's pretty pushy. In fact, so pushy, I didn't really like the experience with, like, you know, Ava and Jessica from the 2 other chat AI services and stuff. So I, maybe tone down the pushiness and, maybe get a little more friendly, But that could come, because who says? Siri, by the way, on Apple, I didn't put the Apple chart, is talking May 2026 for the AI Siri. Damn, that's a long ways away. Long ways away. Holy smokies. I think Amazon's going to be the first, but Meta really is the first right now. Again, Microsoft, they're talking about, hey, they may have Copilot for the Defense Department. You're talking an industry has got over $1 billion of budget, and they're going to get $1 trillion of budget almost seems. I don't know what the Defense Department. It's a lot of money. Alexa, what's the defense budget?
According to Wikipedia, a military budget, also known as a defense budget, is the amount of financial resources dedicated by a state
Could be
to
better.
raising and maintaining an
Could be
armed
better.
force or other methods essential for
Alexa,
defense
stop.
purposes.
So, Microsoft's been going, again, a lot of companies, doing well since the Liberation Day, and, that's a big deal, because, this is not going to be like, 50 million. This probably could be like a $500 million contract, so. Amazon and Walmart are talking about stablecoins, which I think is nice. Could you imagine that the Amazon coin you could just use all over the place, including Amazon, and not have to pay a credit card fee? Could you imagine if they let you borrow off your stablecoin hoard, other crypto? Boy, that's why, the Visa and MasterCard are not liking this at all. This is what I think is the future. You could sit there, convert part of your numbers into a stable coin with very minimal fees, and then pay for everything. Kind of a separate account. And if you can make the wallet a lot easier than 1,000 digits, seems like I got to put it on a crypto wallet, then that'd be nice. But this could be it. I could see it. I could have an Amazon account, and it'll say you got 212 stable coin dollars, real dollars. You can convert it for no fee to regular dollars. I could see a benefit of this, kind of a hedge against currency, Amazon money, Amazon money, and well, I don't know. I think the idea. And of course, Amazon, ever since the breakout, been a good company to buy. Of course, we're out of it right now because of we had to cut down in tech, and we didn't want to cut on Amazon, but I thought the cloud side, it's behind Microsoft and Google for growth, and that's a big chunk of their revenue. And retail is ugly right now. Of course, there are a lot of their products from China. So, there are a lot of couple things hitting on Amazon that are not positive, but this is a positive one. And Bitcoin, of course, we got up. Man, you got to remember, we hit it, 111 over here. And then it's been floating. And, of course, today, down to 106. It was 103 earlier this morning. Why? Because of the war. People were cashing out the Bitcoins to save into dollars to put in gold. Probably, I don't know. It just drops. It's not it's not like gold. People aren't dumping gold when they're panicking, putting them in dollars. They just keep it in gold. They buy more gold actually. So it's something to think about. And then retailer. Well, I love. I really like this color coding. It takes some time to do it, and a lot of pinks. That means they went down. Year-to-year revenues are down. So anything pink and purple are not down, and purple's worse than pink, which is worse than the whatever that. I call it pink. I don't know. These are both pink. I don't know what the colors are. But Amazon is 8% growth. Yum Brands 11% growth. I didn't do our stock, Texas Roadhouse. Eat, is at 27%. Jeez, that's gross. But these are all down from a year ago. Elf, who was up like 36% quarter to quarter, laid a big goose egg at 3.6 growth. The influencers are leaving or something. TikTok's not working. That's a big drop from 36% annual growth to 3. What's going over here? Lululemon's coming back. It's still down. It's down before, but it's not bad. So.
This is a reminder. How will gold do?
Well, I think gold, let's see, we're at, 3,400. I think we'll get to 4,000, by the end of the year. 4,000 is not unreasonable. Especially if there's a war. The longer this goes, more people are going to want to have it. And if the interest rates go up, the dollar goes down, people want to have gold. So the XRT, not the radio station in Chicago, again, the Liberation Day, almost breaking a big trend, bounced off, went down, but it's hanging right at the 200-day moving average. So everybody's looking. I mean, the China deal is not there. They say it's a deal, but we don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ifs on the China deal. When it's signed, then it's done. Don't listen to the rhetoric. Wait till they sign it. I mean, we only got really 4 deals since January 15th. 4. That's it. And some people wouldn't even count the Saudi and Qatar deals as deals. Ukraine mineral deals, good deal for both sides. Excellent deal. Again, Walmart dividend about 1%. Market caps get close to that $1 trillion, man. And of course, it's been down a little bit. Of some people say, well, one of the Waltons advertised in the Times about the 3 kings, and like, no, that's not going to do it. People are buying Walmart because it's Walmart, not because one activist billionaire is going to sit there and do something. I don't know. I mean, I like Walmart. Chart of the gradual slope of 200 days, all what I like, And, again, it's come back. It's better than it was on Liberation Day, and it's dominating. Again, growth is only 2.5. People are scared. Was it going to be good? I mean, every time we don't get the quarter for China done, is fear of what is retail going to do that depends a lot on China. So, I mean, that's a real tough issue. And then our heat map. Again, a lot of green before today. And look who benefits with the war, the oil companies. Wow, it went up 7.5%. Prices of the pump going to go up probably 7.5% or more. Everybody else says it gets worse. The utilities, our Nextera did well. Our Southern's green. Those are the companies that are going to do good in a thing. And Lilly's out of the hibernation, finally gets, positive. But look at it, man. I tell you, they did not want to be in J.P. Morgan not J.P. Morgan, Visa and MasterCard because of the stablecoin. And this ain't even out. This has got to pass the Genius Act, got to do this stuff. But they see the writing on the wall. Why would you use a credit card if you can just use Amazon coins? You got savings in Amazon coin and it pays interest, maybe? And then you can just take the Amazon coin and pay with it and it won't cost you a single thing. Just like when I go pay now, I got Google Pay, Amazon Pay, Shop Pay. I mean, it's like now you just have stablecoin pay. And no interest. No transaction fee for the merchant paying 75 cents for the first $5. This is why they want it. It's not for you and me. They don't have to pay the fees to Visa and MasterCard. This is a big deal. There's a lot of, you're talking billions of dollars of savings over time because they're not going to pay them that money. Where's that money going to come for these two companies? We don't know. It's not going to be good for them. So, interesting. Tesla, come back, Somebody said, I deeply regret for things I said. I always tell people, when you have no sleep, you make mistakes that you never believe you would make. You say things you would never believe you would say. Oracle, getting a lot of positive publicity on the storage, so pretty good. Apple's still floundering around. I'm not a fan of Apple. I mean, the conference they had this week, a lot of people were kind of saying, that's not that good and everything else. And so that's not a positive thing. Philip Morris over here, one of our key defensive stocks, good. When we go into Boeing, we had the crash in India. Man, I think that's minus 4.9%. That's actually low. I'm going to be flying the Dreamliner. I don't want to hear there's a software problem. I hope it's not a software problem. I'd rather hear that they didn't have mechanical maintenance and they didn't do something right, and that's the cause. And then 246 or some people died. That's a lot of people. And if we got to pull the Dreamliner, this is how bad it could. If we got to pull the Dreamliner because there's a software problem, nobody's going to be happy. Boeing's not going to be happy. The people at the stockholders aren't going to be happy. And man, could you imagine the airlines? You're going to have to pull the Dreamliners. So a lot of people are hedging everything. I don't know. I mean, you want to buy Boeing, go right ahead. But there's a lot of ifs right now. If this happens, we don't know what it is. We don't know when we'll get an answer. So we have to think about that.
This is a reminder. What I think Bitcoin will do this year.
I keep on saying, I think 150.
This is a reminder.
140, easy.
What I think Bitcoin
easy.
will do this year.
Because, it is a positive thing. When that Genius Act and stablecoins, they're going to be buying stuff all over the place. So take a look at it, and then defense stocks. Otherwise, I've been watching. Remember, they got a big budget. They got $125 billion increase. That's a lot of money. So $1 trillion defense budget, get 125 more. Good times at the defense plays and stuff. All right, shorter one. Let's take it easy. I'll be back a little bit later, not next Friday, but a little later, and we'll get done. We'll see what happens. It just could be an ugly week with the Iran or Israel situation, and don't never underestimate the ability to get worse. So we're hedged defensively. I don't want to say it's a war portfolio; it's more of a recession portfolio, but we got a lot of companies that are going to sell even if there's a war over there. And that's the key thing. And of course, if things go up and crazy, China is 1/3 of their oil is from Iran. That's why I said I kind of hope we can get it resolved, because if it gets ugly and they're going to bomb the refineries, then Iran's going to collapse. They'll have riots in the street. They'll have no economy, and China's going to be out 1/3 the oil. That's going to jack up the demand of 1.3 billion barrels or whatever it is, and it can be ugly. And if you're China, you're trying to calm this thing down too. Everybody wants to calm down. But I understand you don't want the nuclear capability, and you got to go into the underground bunker. How are you going to do it? So nobody's got the answer right now. All right, have a good week. Stay cool, and I'll talk to you later.